What's going on, you guys and gals? We're going to talk about Mr. Notsume's arrest in just a second.
Back to Ace Attorney I am. Let's hope I can remember all these voices, because there's so many people in this dang courtroom now. Okay. Let's turn this up a little bit.
As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else but the victim. No one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to. We found the bloke and arrested him. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident.
She's kind of in like the reason why I think this image is so funny is she's kind of in like the Family Guy, like that meme pose where he falls down the stairs and it's just like... Anyway.
Ah, yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector.
Crime scene photo. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, we're starting with this.
Uniponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat, denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well,
Forgive me, Lord Van Zykes, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it.
What are you doing, Miss Asado?
Do go on. Spicy.
Mr. Natsume is admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, now that you mention it, when we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had happened.
As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran, as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings.
A green overcoat?
Well, that's exactly what the woman in that print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the world come up with next?
The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing that woman in the back. There was nobody else there at the time. Just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there's no one else who could have possibly stabbed that woman. In fact, a fact that the accused concedes. Ugh.
It seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Pivotal, not pivotable. Proceed, please.
Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance.
I just wanted to check something really quick before we...
Talk to Gregson. Oi.
Olive green, yeah. With an olive overcoat. Very funny. Also, she looks like a... Where is it? Oh, this is the report. That's all. I'm like, where's the photo? Jeez, I don't know that much stuff. She looks like is it garlic stuffed olive? Right? Where it's like the green with the little end poking out. Anyway. Funny. Haha. Hoo-hoo.
As I said, 5 o'clock.
Do.
A light fog, you say? Well, right for London. You can see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though. That's light, is it? Oi, we live on the sea, mate. Around these parts, yes. Not something I expect a Japanese fella like yourself to know, of course.
I've read that London is famous for its fog. They named like a tea company after it or something. But in my country, people usually imagine that it gives the city a rather beautiful appearance.
How quaint. Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate.
I see.
At this time of year, in this part of the country, the fog causes a large number of accidents, especially when it's heavy. Localized entirely within the city of London. Can I see it? Anyway, sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your own arm.
Indeed. The other day I was very nearly trampled by horses before I could see the carriages they were pulling. Carriage, just one.
Susato-san and I should definitely remember to stop, look, and listen.
However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. Very convenient for witnesses. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. Visibility was reasonably good.
How are you able to state that with any certainty?
Quite simply, my learned friend, because that is what the witnesses to this crime have told us.
Yes. Inspector Gregson mentioned the witnesses yesterday, didn't he? That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard.
That is correct, ma'am.
Then we must hear their testimony.
The prosecution will of course call them to the stand, should it be necessary.
But wait a minute. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog may have been, no one could have seen...
I'm unaware of the situation on your tiny island in the east. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights. The prosecution believes there would have been ample light by which to witness this crime.
Quite. Here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness.
Wow, Sora would be so proud. Anyway, which means we really need to hear those witnesses' statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to.
It seems the counsel for the defense is taking stock. Continue your testimony, Inspector.
What does that mean, huh? Is that some sort of fancy British term? I'll get you.
I believe your victim was stabbed.
Oh, I didn't mean to... Okay.
From behind, you say?
That's right.
That's what he said.
As you can see from this print.
Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. As you say, this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in critical condition, comatose no less.
I'm afraid so, my lord. She's been treated at Bart's. I was hopeful she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't to be.
Yes, that is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events.
Luck is on your client's side, it seems.
On the contrary, my client has been exceedingly unlucky.
Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid. Alright, back to me then. Cues ran off, yeah?
Mr. Natsume's belongings,
I think you'll find it's all right here in the photographic print of the crime scene. See, you got the book, and the book, and the book, and the knife. It's all there.
Yes, 3 books on the floor.
That's right, my lord. Second-hand books they were. Irreparably damaged after falling in the snow, of course.
Well, that one fell in the snow. The other two were just on the pavement.
The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand, which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example.
He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume had his hands full with his books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there.
You mean to say the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? Then why did he drop them? That's the question, right?
It must be what happened, my lord, yes.
Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems.
The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis.
That's right. Yeah, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books.
Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector?
Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again then, I'm afraid.
Calabash Road. Bourbon books.
It's all beer and books in there, anyway. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Meersham Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this.
Interesting. Okay, so we got the map updated.
Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop.
Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance. Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made being...
The bookshop's location, right? It wouldn't be the stalker, the name. Let me just look. Is there a receipt? Well, that's 3. Oh, it's your books. Yeah, okay. It is the name.
Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor?
What?
Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance.
Maybe.
Oh, well, you know, I mean, yes, it could be a very important clue.
If you say so. Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector.
Yes, sir, my lord. Whatever you say.
Could the man be any more sardonic?
Sardonic, wow. Really with the words this time, huh?
On his way home from Bourbon Books.
This is Mr. Natsume's receipt, so yeah.
Objection! If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson.
What is it, sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know.
This is a receipt we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books.
And you found that in the accused's room, did you?
Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it.
Go on.
This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books.
Your books? Y-O-R-E, I presume.
Yes, my lord. So, Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books.
What? Damn, my chips. They're all smushed up now. More like mashed potatoes.
Anyway.
Inspector, did you know of this other bookshop?
Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that, well, it's such a small place, so I didn't think the accused could have known about it.
Yeah, see? This is what you get for assuming.
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it.
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street map here if it might be of help. Oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would have most certainly passed this place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact he was actually at another bookshop, your books, it may very well turn out he wouldn't have passed that location at all.
Could that be true?
Oh, my. It rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility.
Ain't that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely. It absolutely could be right.
Well, I like this.
I like this a lot.
Inspector Gregson, where is your books establishment?
Well, obviously we looked into that. It turns out that your books, it's just here on the next corner of Meersham Street, going east.
Cool. Dun 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 dun.
And there you have it. As you can clearly see now. Oh.
He still could have gone the other way, I'm just saying.
My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticisms.
Witticisms?
To your future career in the circus.
That is so rude. You put that glass down now, or I'll put it down for you.
I, didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from your books instead of Bourbon Books, there's, no doubt he would have still passed the place where the victim was stabbed.
Not no doubt.
Yes, thank you, Inspector.
Allow me to reiterate for my learned, if somewhat slow, Nipponese friend.
Ouch, that's gotta hurt. You know, Gatto's hand bled when he did that, so, I mean, you got gloves on, but I don't think that'll protect you from glass. Unless that's not made of glass, and that's why you always smash it instead of drinking out of it.
Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Ah!
Well, I'm just gonna stand here then.
As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try.
What do I say, Ed? I've had enough of this now.
Beg your pardon? I'm terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Mr. Naruhodo, we mustn't give up.
What do you mean?
If the prosecution's assertion is correct...
Or assertion. That was assertion. There was no te.
The members of the jury may very well decide Mr. Natsume is guilty.
Oh, she's absolutely right.
We must think. We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully.
They claim Soseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from your books, but...
He didn't have to. He could have gone the other way if he wanted.
The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed.
Oh.
Explain yourself, counsel.
Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on the map. When returning from your books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodgings without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I do feel compelled to point out that that route is what is commonly referred to as the long way around.
So what?
On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take the longer route home?
If he didn't want to see people. Because he doesn't like people.
Well,
The answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime.
but, yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home.
I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection. That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. No, today was no exception. Says he doesn't remember which route where he was or which route he took home.
Well, I don't believe this.
And I do. I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. Pray, what say you, insightful jurors?
Can you hold on for like 1 second? But even if that is the case, the defense still...
Can't do it for all of them.
Mr. Bruce Fairplay, you hear? I agree with Lord Van Sykes. He had my back on the other trial when you were trying to accuse me, remember that?
Oh yes, very impartial juror anyway.
Wholeheartedly in every way.
What? I don't believe it. Does this mean...
We members of the jury are completely convinced now.
Well, that was fast. I guess I get to take my lunch break early. Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Oh. Oh, they have voice lines.
Guilty.
Oh. Here it is.
Guilty.
Yes, guilty, I think.
Seems like we're getting into the summation examination very quickly.
It would appear the jury's leaning is unanimous.
Why me? Well, to the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You served the Queen and country admirably.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Hold on, I'm just taking a quick cat nap. I'll come up with an idea when I wake up. No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow.
Those are the eyes of Quarry, not yet willing to give up and die.
Yeah, I don't plan on dying today, actually.
So, I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial? Rights of the defense written into antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago.
What, like you, Vampire Man?
Call it antiquated if you will, but it's the defense's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if so choose.
If they so choose. I feel like would have been less awkward. Anyway.
Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with a summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman?
All right, I get to be the foreman of the jury. I didn't even realise that. Of course we're ready. I'm all too familiar with that Nipponese weapon snapper and his uncas refusal to throw in his alley.
I have no idea what you just said, but very well then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you've determined the defendant is guilty.
See, I told every one of them about this before the trial started because I knew you were going to pull this. I'm your new rival, Bruce Fairplay. I'm going to come back in every case. For pity's sake, that little nip on his already admitted it himself, didn't he?
If he said that a woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why, it can only have been the victim.
The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter.
So the poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful.
I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be doing.
Your books, yes, nice shop, mate. But bourbon books, not worth the visit.
With only minor exceptions, the reasons for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear.
When the stabbing occurred, only two people at the scene were the victim. The only two people at the scene were the victim and the accused. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in her green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes.
Furthermore, we've heard from the inspector that the defendant then fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample grounds to convict this man already.
Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt now.
Why do you have to run away like that? And how are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody could see?
It was a fog monster, clearly. That's why the fog was so thin, because he was
Taking corporeal form.
This is impossible. How can I possibly make a case for the defense?
Mr. Naruhodo, this is no time for grumbling.
I like to grumble, okay?
If we want to force this trial to continue.
Yes, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least.
I don't think I'm going to get that one guy who wants to go back to work and fair play, but the other ones maybe. Or actually, no. It'd be him and the racist lady in the bonnet. Fair play, maybe I can't change his mind. After all,
He's all about fair play.
We have no choice but to forge forward.
I should say extra racist, because, you know.
'Tis the times, after all. You have the floor, counsel. Begin your summation examination.
Yes, my lord. I just need to keep this trial going somehow, whatever it takes. Come on, Ryusuke, you can do it. Alright, time for me to pace back and forth.
The defense's rebuttal.
For pity's sake.
Excuse me, but aren't you...
Yes, that's right. I was a witness stand myself just 2 days ago.
Yes, I had a feeling I recognized your face, or that side of it, anyway. If I remember correctly, you're a banker, aren't you?
What does this have to do with anything? Whatever. That's right. After the gold rush down under, I came back to London to work.
Gold rush down under? There was a gold rush in Australia? Unless he just means like, well, there was no gold rush in Britain, so, huh.
And it was all going swimmingly until you started fossicking around. Bruce Fairplay was a man of repute.
Sorry?
Don't think I've forgotten how you treated me the other day. You had me and that young hatter pegged as criminals.
Oh, well, you know, water under the bridge.
Now there's all sorts of rumours buzzing around, and the police have been badgering me non-stop.
If I could turn back the clock.
Well, anyway, I don't know about the hatter, but at least I'm in the clear now. So I'm on this jury, probably, and free to make up my own mind about who's guilty and who isn't.
Thank goodness. Alright, maybe I might struggle to change this guy's mind, given our awkward history.
Oh dear, I wonder what's become of Mr. First now. What became of me? If he said the woman in green...
You're right that at the time of the incident, the defendant admits to having seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him.
Well, quite. That's precisely my point. Clearly, that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly that funny little Nipponese man with the disturbing moustache is the culprit.
But let us not forget, madame, the defendant vehemently denies attacking that woman.
Why, of course he does. If he admits to stabbing her, his life is over. The man is obviously a liver-faced coward.
Yikes.
Honestly, claiming the woman simply collapsed before his eyes.
But if that's a lie as you're suggesting, do you not think he would have concocted something more credible?
Oh, I really couldn't say. After all, you are foreign. Who's to say what goes through your funny little minds?
Wow, okay.
I could tell you what's going through my funny little mind right now, but you wouldn't like it.
Oh no, I probably would not. I do declare the man has already made the admission. He himself has stated there was nobody else around. Surely the conclusion is obvious. Who no one else could have possibly committed this awful crime?
Ugh.
If no one else could have done it, the accused must be the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple.
Your argument is compelling in its simplicity, I must admit.
Oh my, you're too kind, my lord.
That went well for her. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter.
Okay, so hers is a woman in green collapsed before his eyes. It could only be the victim. Interesting. I don't see anything yet, but I'm sure we'll get there.
But you can't deny there are other routes Mr. Natsume could have taken back from your books.
Aye. Oh yes, like you drew on the map, you mean? What was it, Calabash Road or something?
Precisely.
But it seems to me that what counts is whether the little Japanese fellow actually went that way or not.
Well, yes, that's true.
And at the moment, there's no proof that shows he did, is there?
Well, yes, that's true as well.
And as I understand it, the accused himself doesn't remember which way he went, does he?
Well, yes, that's annoyingly true.
Winter nights are dark and cold, so the way I see it, you want to get home as quickly as possible.
His room was probably also dark and cold, so I don't know.
Well, yes. Why is all this true?
I'm a very astute gentleman. So really, the only thing that makes sense is he went home along Briar Road.
I'm supposed to be convincing you here.
I've given it a lot of shot, you know. I didn't just make up my mind on to whim he did it. I mean, if there was some logical reason why he might have gone to Calabash Roadway, it'd be different. I'm happy to reconsider my position in that case. Honest, I would.
A reason why Soseki-san might have taken the longer way home.
Yes, a good reason. I don't imagine you'll be able to sway this young man's opinion without one. I'm glad my voice has come into play a little bit. It's a little bit more distinct from first.
Anyway.
The poor woman was attacked from behind. How dreadful. Whatever is the matter, young man?
You're the wife of Mr. Garydeb, aren't you? The landlord who rents Mr. Natsume his room?
My master's wife? Where do you get your ideas, sir? I'm the maid, you understand?
She's keeping up that charade? Ugh, this is going to be awkward. Why didn't you mention this yesterday? That you'd been selected for the jury in this trial, I mean.
Well, I was told not to mention it to anyone until the day of the trial, you see. It was in the letter I received. The instructions were very clear, so I'm afraid I had no choice.
I see. Anyway, Mr. Natsume, the defendant, takes lodgings in your, master's house, doesn't he?
Yes, that's right. Although he's only been in an inn a little over a week now.
And in that time, surely he must take in stock of his character. Does Mr. Natsume look like the kind of man who would commit a crime such as this?
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness me, yes, he is just the sort.
What?
Spending all of his time in that dark and dingy room, sporting that unscrupulous mustache.
I didn't really think his mustache was that bad.
The man never speaks, and don't get me started on those shifty eyes. All the neighbors are talking about him. I've heard them, you know. People think he must be building a bomb in there or something. Oh dear, poor Mr. Natsume. How could people say such things about him? He's just a harmless bookworm. Nothing more.
Well, you just called him a worm, so...
It's... Naruhodo.
Anyway, I better be careful about inviting this maid to speak. She said enough damning things already.
Oh, shit, you can try to convince me. It's not gonna happen. I don't really care. Can we just wrap this up now? I got work to be doing.
A man's life is on the line here, sir. This'll take as long as it takes.
I don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too. So is me family's. The likes of you wouldn't understand, but a labourer like me can't afford to take time off. And if I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and kids.
Oh, I see. That must be very hard.
I go to the union every morning to find out what needs doing. If you're late and the work's taken, that's tough. Each time we hear, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left, right and centre. They're after cheap labour to get the roads dug to fix it up. It's a hard slog from dawn till dusk days.
So, you were out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you?
That's right. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just round the corner from where it all happened. By that old bookshop it was.
What? Another coincidence.
That's right, Meersham Street it was.
Finally, something helpful. So the road was bust. We got it, ladies and gentlemen.
Meersham Street.
On the map, Mr. Naruhodo, there are only 3 named streets.
Juror number 5, I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please.
What's the point in that? Can't we just get this business over with now?
Please, sir, it's important.
Fine, I'll do it then. On the day it happened, I was digging up Meersham Street from dawn till dusk.
Bum bum bum.
These 2 statements are clearly at odds with one another.
At odds, counsel? Explain yourself.
Please, don't point. It wasn't me, I swear.
What? I just want to get this done and dusted.
Well, juror number 3?
Oh, me, sir? What? What do you mean?
Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's been said on our map of the local area. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of second-hand books. And on the same day, we now know that there were works being carried out on Meersham Street, making it impassable. Which means that the defendant's route home could not have taken him along Meersham Street and down Briar Road.
Oh, yes, of course. What do you think of that, sir?
Well, yeah, you can't argue with that really, can you? And we must have had a good 2 yards or more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way.
So, the only conclusion is this. The defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings.
Yes, I suppose he must have.
I suppose that must be right, eh?
Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, but we see now that he had no choice.
Yes! My lord, Mr. Judge, sir, if I may.
Yes?
I don't think in all good conscience that I can say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to see this trial continue so we can get to the bottom of what really happened.
Nice.
What about you, sir?
Who, me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in. That's what I say.
Is that his theme then?
Yes, it's all about filling holes. That's my personality.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. That's wonderful.
Well, we managed to exchange a couple of minds at least, It strengthened our position somewhat.
Yes, and it will prompt the other members of the jury to reconsider their stance as well. They'll be asking themselves if their current leanings are really right or not. Now, if only we could identify just one more clue or discrepancy that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume. We might be able to tip the balance completely.
Yes, that's exactly what we've got to do. Van Zykes is looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent by whatever means we have at our disposal.
Ugh, I'm not allowed to talk, so I'm just sitting here waiting.
Thank you, counsel. On with the summation examination, please.
Yes, my lord.
I have to say not yet at this point, so I can see where the trial goes for me.
Whether it's digging up roads or digging up the truth, you've got to see it through to the end, haven't you?
Yeah, your books. Yes, nice shop. Sorry. Fold it, you said. Fold what?
No. What I said was, hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often?
I like the old books they have in there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day we're all talking about.
Oh no. He's wearing a green coat.
And at what time did you visit your books on the day in question?
Well, I was picking out books in there all afternoon, and it would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day we're all talking about.
Just before 5, you say? Exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time?
Oh, yes, no mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry. Not after the dreadful time I had.
What do you mean?
Well, I was walking down Calabash Road when I slipped on the ice and dunked my head. It's always worse after the snow stopped falling. That's when it's the most slippery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. Really thought my number was up.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. This happened on Calabash Road.
That's right. I live on Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get from your books.
Juror number 6, I must insist that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant.
Sorry. Extremely sick? No, I'm quite all right now. You've changed 2 of the jurors' minds, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, and I'm about to get the other ones.
Deliver the finishing blow now. It's time to turn the tables here.
I wish I knew how to do a Sasato takedown. I suppose words will have to suffice for now.
Do the Sasato takedown on the fair play.
Oh, what are you doing to me? Ah.
I'm gonna do it this way just in case it matters. I don't think it does, but... Yeah.
Pit. Bonk. Those 2 statements clearly show a flaw in the juror's reasoning.
A flaw? What are you talking about, counsel?
Well, juror number 2, juror number 6.
My, whatever do you mean, sir? What? I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you.
Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. There's at least one fact of which we can be sure here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates that on the day of the attack, he'd been to your books and purchased a number of second-hand titles. He then returned home on foot.
But the man says he has no recollection of his return journey.
That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes.
Yes, we are all well aware of this. The poor young woman who was stabbed, obviously.
Can we really be sure of that, madame?
My, whatever do you mean?
I'm sure you just heard juror number 6's account of what happened to him on that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim who was wearing a green overcoat and who fell over on the icy streets in the neighborhood.
Oh, my.
Uh,
My goodness. You mean...
That's right. I'm referring to, of course, to the hard of hearing juror number 6.
Oh, you're really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat who the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was the jolly old gentleman at the end of the bench here with me today?
That is entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has a somewhat similar build to the victim.
well, look at that.
My goodness me. Sorry? Need a pee?
And crucially, we know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell.
On Calabash Road.
Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home.
Oh, my.
You idiot old man. If you hadn't been so daft as to be roaming about there, we'd have this boxed off hours ago.
And really, what were you thinking wearing such a befuddling coat? What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the streets these days? Is it a crime to slip on the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles of wear a beautiful green overcoat? Is it? Oh, pity me. My lord, I do hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but...
You'd like to change your leaning, I presume?
I do declare that I would. I would like to call for a verdict of not guilty.
Well, at least she's not so racist as to deny the truth. Thank you.
And I would too.
What?
Yeah, it is a crime to change your mind, is it? Well... Okay, I'm back to normal now, sorry. I don't think I'd be able to hear your apologies even if I could.
Well, that summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. The ayes 2, the noes 4, so the noes have it. Not guilty, they say. Which means we no longer have a consensus among the members of the jury. The trial will continue.
Objection!
Yeah, okay.
Could it seem churlish of me to drink from my hallowed chalice moments after raising an objection? Well, it certainly takes up a lot of time, and I got to get back to digging ditches, mate. Only to crush it in disgust. Pray, forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zykes?
It seems I must retract my earlier remark.
Which one? Given the amount of remarks you've given me today, it's probably a net positive for me. What do you mean?
I mistakenly credited these jurors with intelligence by describing them as insightful. More like unsightly. Yet we've just witnessed them falling for a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer.
Oh, okay.
Eh?
Oh, whatever do you mean?
That's the best way to get the jurors on your side, Van Zykes. Just insult them. I haven't tricked anyone. Everything I've said is the truth.
Indeed. Stalwart juror number 5 was undoubtedly repairing the road, as he claims. I believe you said it was a good 2 yards of pavement which you excavated, sir. That's right. It took the whole day, and they paid me a measly 2pence for it. Now, my little Nipponese friend, tell me. Do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represents?
Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, no. Sorry, I'm from Canada. We use meters.
2 yards is a little less than 2 meters.
Less than 2 meters? That's not that much at all.
In other words, a distance readily vaulted by anyone of moderate vigor.
You're saying that he would have jumped over to the construction site instead of going around? Who would do that?
I would. That's how I got these scars on my face. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend? Me? Well, I can't say you're wrong, no.
What?
And did you perchance erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the site of your works? Eh? I wouldn't dream of it. What a waste of time. No coaches would have had a hope of passing anyway, and we just turn any gentlefolk back when they come. Kids just jump right over us all the time. The accused is no gentleman as far as I can see. Sorry, that was the wrong voice. I have little doubt, however, that he could spring over a 2-yard trench in his meanderings around town.
Ah! Is that true? Is it?
Yes, this scroll tells me exactly the victim's stats, and it looks like he put at least 2 points in the jump. The incontrovertible truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt that on his way back to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume walked down Briar Road.
Crushed in a single sentence.
Could she not have just bought the same books? Maybe they talked. Maybe she recommended him those books. Did we ask the bookshop guy? I'm just saying, anyway.
And the old man.
Cold man, you can talk.
You say that around 5 o'clock on the day in question, you slipped and fell on Calabash Road. Pray, was there a suspicious-looking Nipponese behind you at the time?
Well, I did say I went unconscious, so I have no idea. Oh, I can't say I remember.
You don't remember?
Yes, I fell and I was gonna die. It wasn't really on my mind.
How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man the accused saw. But I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it.
Oh,
Order, order! Lord Van Zykes, explain yourself.
My lord?
If you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not prefer it during the summation examination?
He's not allowed, Judge.
I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed.
ugh.
But my hospitality has its limits, and they have been reached, I feel. Cutscene. I'm changing forms. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. Just like today's episode.
I feel like I lost Van Zyk's voice in the sauce, but whatever. Picked up a bunch of different ones that are much better than what I was doing last time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Good old Ace Attorney. Always a fun time. I have no idea how this is going to go. Like, part of me feels like the conclusion of this trial is going to be that Olive Green is going to wake up and be like, everything you thought is totally different. And then it's going to go crazy, but you never know. We're going to get a day 2 probably as well, because we want to visit this bookshop and stuff. We still haven't been there somehow. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you got this far, leave a comment about
jumping O's. Do you think you could jump that? Would you jump that construction site, ho, just to get home a little faster if it was cold? I don't think I would do it. It's kind of a crazy presumption, I think. Anyway.
Thanks for watching.
Bye!